Hi, I'm Tony,
And I'm Jeremy.
and you're watching Ronincast, episode 7.
Yeah, welcome back, and thank you for joining us.
Feels like forever.
I know, yeah, it's been just a bit. But today, we're going to be talking about the end of the Loki series on Disney Plus. And we already actually have done a video on the first 3 episodes mid-season, and with some predictions in there.
Our first impressions, and now we get to see our final impressions.
Yeah. And again, please comment on this video. Whatever you guys comment, we will talk about, and we'll dictate what you want us to talk about.
Speaking of, we have a review on a few comments from last time, which we were getting to, so don't worry about it. For those that comment and they're like, where's my video? It's coming.
Yeah, there's some good movies that people just asked us to review and talk about, but there's just this stuff that just came out, and so we're going to do some of this first, and then we'll also, in some later episodes, we'll talk about the Black Widow movie, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, so there's a lot coming.
Yeah, so let's get into the end of Loki. So.
All right, so I don't even know where to start.
We'll
start where I'd say we start where
Well, okay.
He gets pruned, you know.
Okay, yes, that was good. I didn't expect that.
So spoiler alert. For those that haven't watched it, go watch it.
Oh, yeah, cool. Watch it first, because we're just going to talk about everything. And we're not, I mean, there may be things that we leave out. We're just going to talk about the things that hit us the most. And so, you know, if there's a cool moment that we left out, just let us know in the comments. But let's talk about what hit us.
Yes, he got pruned.
Well, okay,
Huge,
well, before that, I mean, okay, so they finally get to the timekeepers. And, of course, they're all fake. And they're, which, again, we were wrong on that. I think we predicted... I think I had predicted that it was going to be Loki or variants of Loki.
Right.
And what did you predict?
I thought it was Loki, Morbius, and then somebody else. I think it was Kang the Conqueror. I thought all three.
Oh, no, you thought it was going to be the girl.
Oh, Sylvie. Yeah, she was going to be the third person.
Or like the girl of the TVA or whatever. Yeah, we were both wrong.
We thought those were going to be the timekeepers or take the place of the timekeepers. Which, in that sense, I guess I was kind of leading on to something. That Loki was a timekeeper.
Kinda. I mean, they were given the opportunity in the final episode, and then I do think it is funny. It freaked me out.
I was correct.
He was correct about one thing, and
Loki fell in love with himself.
The weird Loki
kiss
thing. Which to be honest, when he first said it, I didn't like it, but now after watching all the episodes, I kind of ship them. Like, they're cute. I think the actress, I don't remember her name, I think Sophia, I have no idea. I think her name's Sophia, but the girl who plays Sylvie, she did great. She was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I actually read an article, the writer for Loki Season 1 is done. She's not coming back for Season 2, she's not writing Season 2, so we have a new director and writer for Season 2.
That's dangerous.
Which is very dangerous, but she was in the interview was like, I only saw it going to one season, and I'm glad to kind of look at it for Season 2 and be a fan watching instead of creating it, and I'm like, that's some
well, and to
crazy
be honest,
thing.
like, I know it's in, it's already said they're going to have a Season 2, but to be honest, I wouldn't mind if that was it. Right. Because I think this show... I mean, in the sense of the Marvel Universe, I think it's fine with just having these episodes. Just have, what was it, like 6 or 7 episodes, and then it just leads into the next phase of the MCU,
like
or a movie, or the multi. Obviously, what it's going to lead into is just the multiverse. And
I feel like we're also getting spoiled in the sense because we had what was it? The last movie that came out, Endgame, right? Yeah. And then we had Black Widow was supposed to happen, but didn't.
Well, Black Widow, and then we had Spider-Man.
Well, Spider-Man, and then we had WandaVision after that, and then Winter Soldier, and all this was like kind of back to back.
Yeah, but we didn't really know what to expect from the MCU going forward,
or even with the TV shows either, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was very different than what they're doing with Disney Plus shows.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. basically you didn't need to watch any of that in order to watch any of the MCU movies.
It's part of the MCU.
Yeah,
the
it
stuff
builds
that transpires here make the events in the next movies relevant or make sense.
Cameos, different stuff like that.
And so it made a different type of thing where it kind of fills in the gaps and it's still a cohesive environment with the movies and the cinematic universe.
And the thing is, I mean, I don't know, at least just from like my standpoint from like watching the Infinity Saga, which is now it's called, the first ones, we watched, all the different movies and they had their big things, but we didn't really finally get to see the full like spectrum of, okay, this 20 movie saga, what's it all building to? And it's the Infinity Stones and Thanos and all that. And you're like, oh, and you can go back and piece it through. Where now, this next saga with, even, let's say hypothetically, it's 20 movies again. From the very beginning, we know what it is. It's essentially going to be, or at least I assume, unless they're going to fix this all in one movie, which I hope they don't do. Because we were talking about how I think it'd be cool if it was like a 20 movie saga of them and the multiverse and just trying to figure out how to defeat Kane the Conqueror, and then we'd see all those different versions of Spider-Man. We'd see different versions of everyone, and maybe I think Loki may come back into the timeline in general. So it's just like, I wonder are they giving too much away at the beginning?
Well, Multiverse of Madness in itself, the title gives away a lot. You already have the idea, and a lot of rumors about Tobey Maguire and all these other characters coming back for their, and even Alfred Molina and David.
So do you think it's going to be the main thing for the next saga, or do you think it's going to be a thing that, like the first Avengers movie, where it lasts for 4 or 5 movies, and then the conflict is resolved in the next Avengers movie, but the saga continues? You know what I'm saying? Is this the long-term threat or a short term?
Well, I know Secret Wars is coming out too. You got to think about the movies that I've already announced that they're going to do,
and the 10 Rings.
The 10 Rings is coming out, which I don't think will have a huge thing. I think the Eternals is going to be a real big one, because the reason that they're we waited so long or we've stayed out of this conflict until now is because of the
multiverse. Yeah, exactly.
And so
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four is going to be great. And that has a lot to do with the multiverse as well, because Reed Richards in the Phantom Zone, and so there's a lot of things that they're already minting. Even
and I still want Chris Evans to reprise his role as the Human Torch. Can we have him in the MCU twice?
And so,
because it could be a variant of Chris Evans from another universe.
That would be
That's
so
what I'm saying.
funny.
I'm saying bring in the Fantastic Four from an alternate universe during this time, and it's Chris Evans
with the original cast, the whole.
Yeah,
original
exactly.
Cast.
That's what I'm saying. So instead of it being Chris Evans as Captain America, it's Chris Evans.
They did that in the Marvel superhero game.
I think it'd be funny. I just think it'd be
there's
funny.
a quote, and he's like, "You look oddly familiar," and it's America talking to Human Torch. It's ironic, but no, the
that
whole
is
movie
America's
thing
ass.
in the future. In the future, Secret Wars is going to happen, and and I think that's going to be a direct correlation of why that is a multiverse war as well. But no,
I think we've just skipped over.
I know we skipped
the whole
Loki
show
entirely.
Sorry. We were just speculating. Good, we're excited. I mean, I think that's the thing. This show actually kind of makes me a little bit more excited for the new upcoming stuff. The multiverse, I think, has so many different fun options that can happen.
I feel as though I was actually disappointed.
I agree
with the ending of Loki.
I agree.
Even it had so much potential about what we were going to see, and with the timekeepers being robots and all this other stuff, it's who is in charge, blah blah, and then we get to see a variant of Kane, and it's he's a kind of lunatic.
He reminds me of a D&D character.
Right. It's just it's like a very guy who's been doing this way too long, kind of lost his thing. Versus in my mind, they should have done Kane the Conqueror as some in the MCU as in a different way, not the Man Who Remains, or
it was interesting. I mean, it almost felt like that whole conversation, since it had already been mapped out, and he already knew that basically whatever Sylvie and Loki picked, he was coming back, and so it was essentially the equivalent of him going, "I am inevitable," and right? I mean that's the equivalent, because he's see you soon.
The thing is, he's not talking about himself. He's talking about the variants of himself,
but
the multiverse.
Exactly.
And there's one out there that's very similar to him.
So he's coming back. Yes, it may not be him specifically, but I mean, he said thousands of him are coming. Obviously because it's all the different.
By the way,
universes,
for those that don't know, when he explained all that stuff and how they brought innovation, and then all of a sudden everybody was like, "I want to be the dominant timeline" type of thing. The little silhouette or stone person.
Yeah, however they did that.
That's the suits and stuff were actually very accurate to the comic books. The helmet was there, the jumpsuit was there,
and the big statue in the end.
The big statue. Well, okay, first off, the references
TVA.
in everything type that ended Planet of the Apes. You know how in Planet of the Apes it's the Statue of Liberty was a monkey, or Abraham Lincoln was it's literally that. But instead of being the timekeepers, it's Kane the Conqueror.
Yeah, which is fun.
An alternate timeline.
Which is cool, and that's the thing though. It's the thing with the show in general, going back to what you said, I was kind of disappointed with how it ended. Well, not with a little bit of how it ended, but also I feel being that it was only 7 episodes, I felt like there was a lot of filler episodes.
Right.
And I'm for such a short series, do we need all that? It was pretty
I think
it was that 4th or 5th one was that whole planet phone, one. Yeah. Sucked. Sucked.
Yeah.
And it was we just got to get a phone charger for this pad here, and I'm just this episode sucks. But also at the same time, again, I kind of wish it would have just been a whole season of him just making up a fun, whimsical version of what would have happened, and during our timeline.
Well, the saddest part is, like, in interviews as
TVA
well,
is so crazy.
they said they deleted several scenes. There's supposed to be a bigger scene in the beginning with Throg and Alligator Thor, or
Thor's
Alligator
hammer,
Loki,
yeah.
and that was supposed to be a huge thing. And then when the Miss Minute offers them the timeline where he's ruling Asgard and has the Infinity Stones and has all this power, and they cut that entirely out of it because they thought it would distract the narrative from the movie. I'm like, I would have loved to see that. Everybody would have loved to see that. I don't know why they decided to cut that out.
Yeah, and
so
yeah, it was just, I don't know, the show just, it
I'm
almost feels
thoroughly upset.
pointless,
I feel like Loki fell in love with Sylvie, but Sylvie betrayed him. The kiss wasn't surreal.
I think it was real.
No, she kissed him to distract him, so she could grab the little timekeepers thing.
Yeah,
and then
again,
do
it just
whatever.
sucks
And
watching
it hurt me
Loki
so much.
actually learn, and that's the thing. I think
Right.
what we talked about at the beginning is we actually wanted to see the character grow, and he did, and it sucks because he finally now trusts someone, loves someone, and he gets betrayed.
And then even worse, Sylvie transports him to Kane the Conqueror's
Alternate
timeline.
I know.
On the alt
so
universe.
bad.
And so what doesn't make sense, it was so funny to me because when Loki comes back and he's like, Mobius, it's blah 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 blah, and he's like, what? And he
Are
says
you
it-
an assistant? Who are you?
He sounds so funny. I don't, because he doesn't recognize who he is or anything
Ciao.
like that. Yeah, but he's just like, what? And it's so funny. I
Yeah.
kept watching a clip where it just repeats it, and he says it so weird.
Yeah.
But that messes me up. It
Yeah,
hurt me so much.
And that's the thing. Like, there was a couple character things that we had talked about. Like, one, thoroughly upset that they did not show any kind of clip of Mobius on a jet ski. What the heck? Simple. Do it.
Yep.
That's all I wanted from the show, really. Honestly, if it would have ended that way, I'd have been totally happy. And number two, we were really sad that old Loki died.
Yeah, okay.
Such a good
Let's talk about
scene.
that episode.
Such a good scene.
That episode was probably my favorite.
It was a
That
really good episode,
The best.
but I feel like the one flaw of that episode is that they built up this big. It was like it's Goliath, I think it was the big like
Goliath.
creature or whatever. The thing is, it didn't feel as much of a threat because they were able to figure out how to get past him in one episode. I don't know. And also, we didn't get to watch him completely destroy as much stuff. Like, if we would have seen him, like, take out wars of Loki's, I just feel like he didn't seem as...
I feel like they did a pretty good job making it look menacing and being.
I mean,
this
no, it
powerful
looked
character.
menacing, but
it's just.
But like you were sitting there, like, yeah, but they're obviously hashing a plan right now, and like, oh, okay, 2 minutes after we're introduced to this crazy, like, you know, character that no one's been ever
again
able
in the
to
episode,
be. It's like, oh, we can kill it, and I'm just like,
Again, and you have in that episode, you get introduced to two Lokis that are proud and powerful, and that never infiltrated the TVA that way. And also, again, Morbius, as he said before, he's she's very confident. You get two Lokis that are very different. That like I'm gonna
but
do
then
this.
also like Tom Hiddleston's Loki just learns how to enchant like that.
Yeah, that was kind of plot convenience.
Weird. Yeah, it was. But
adult.
go
Loki,
back to
though.
old Loki. Yeah.
Okay, so his
Should've been
power.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I don't know. When I first saw him in the end credit scene before
Good
that
Lord.
episode, I swore it was Christopher Walken. I don't know why. And then watching the next episode,
Disney make it canon.
It was really sad it wasn't
Walken
because I
is-
thought it'd be really funny to watch Christopher Walken Loki and him just like talk about Thor and I can't do a good Christopher Walken impression.
We're not
but
even gonna try.
I was really bummed out.
Oh my
Okay, sorry,
gosh.
go on.
Anyways, so that Loki I really liked because the idea of him doing a projection that fooled the Mad Titan Thanos himself and then living and then being like, all right, I'm tired of this hiding, and then gets captured by the TVA.
Yeah.
But also, like, he's so powerful. That was the one
is.
thing I absolutely loved. And so, like, and it's also a sad moment. I thought about it later, but like his last enchantment was him being back home and seeing Asgard in its glory one last time, perfectly. And projection. Also, you get like a hint of how powerful our Loki that we know could be.
Yeah.
And so it hurt. It hurt a lot. And again, like I love seeing the comic book accurate like Loki too with the costumes and stuff too because we saw it in WandaVision and they hinted at that.
That's cute.
And we saw it in Captain America too, the first Avenger when he's like the little tights.
It just reminds me of like the really old Batman like TV shows like in Robin, you know what I'm saying? Like where it
Adam
was like
West's Batman.
yeah, where like it was like essentially like a homemade like mom like Halloween costume for their kid, but it was grown adults wearing
actual
it.
underoos.
Hilarious.
And so it didn't bother me much. I actually kind of preferred the comic book kind of Loki.
Oh no,
costume.
I liked it. Oh no, I liked it. I just thought
and
it
the
was
full
funny.
like chrome helmet with the really sharp sharp. Because I remember reading the comic books and seeing, I think it was Alex Ross's Envision of Loki, and it looked just like that one. And I'm like, I absolutely loved it. And the cackle at the very end when he's like has all of it, and he's like glorious purpose, and then he laughs and then he dies. But like that was literally like
that was good. Yeah, but
perfect.
Yeah. Again, though, I think the coolest parts about this show are not really even the show. I think it's the things that are going to then happen after the show.
Mm-hmm.
And just speculating about, will Sylvie get back with
even now
Tom Hiddleston?
Right.
Or can she even do that? Or I mean, obviously now they've created so many branches, and when we saw it, essentially, I mean, it's unsalvageable. Is she going to, since she's not really needed to maintain the timeline, can she just do whatever she wants?
Basically. I mean, I don't know. I don't think she's going to want to rule. I don't think she's
well,
going
I know, but
to...
do you think she's going to show back up in an actual movie?
Movie, no.
Why?
Movie, no.
I think she has to. I think her and Tom have to come back together.
I think Loki, Tom will in Multiverse, only to explain to Doctor Strange from his timeline, that timeline we know, that being like, this is what happened, this is why it happened. And then Sylvie's going to be disappearing from...
And then the thing is, can Doctor Strange believe him and
right.
all that?
And also, like, how is if Doctor Strange is supposed to... there's so much things right. Because in the comic books, Wanda was the reason why the multiverse happened, and that's why like the Avengers
and that's what we thought WandaVision.
No More Mutants.
That's what we thought WandaVision was going to do. We were like, oh, okay, it's going to create this.
It's going to either. It's funny because in the comic books it was No More Mutants, but like in my mind I was like, what if she does? I want more mutants. And I was like, that would be such a cool little plot twist on top of like paying homage to the No More Mutants type of thing. But that didn't happen, and so she's not entirely like, it's not her fault because of the multiverse. Yeah. And so, which kind of makes me kind of upset because again, she's more powerful.
Instead of
that.
It being her fault, it's now Sylvie's fault.
Right. Sort of.
No, it is.
Well, you get to see kind of her messing with the timeline. The last credit scene you see her with, she's tweaking and learning, and then she hears her child's voice. Either that's happening at the same time this Loki finale happens, or she's also tampering with the timeline that's creating branches.
We don't know when that is, or what she's even doing, really. So,
guess we'll have to wait.
Yeah, we'll find out.
But that's kind of what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And
other than that, it was an okay show. I don't think it wasn't as good as WandaVision, for sure.
Yeah, no.
It just... Parts of it felt just pointless, and then...
That last episode just seemed very pointless to me. Like, I got really hyped when it showed all the strands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know what's happening.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But, like, the rest of it, it was just, like, very...
Yeah, the timekeeper...
Right.
Just,
it's He Who Remains.
I know, but the He Who Remains, like...
It could be anybody.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like the way he was portrayed.
Yeah, but
it
again,
seems too happy and comical. But
I think
that's to show us multiple versions of him, because
because
like he said, some of them are going to be really lighthearted. Some of them are going to be, let's conquer.
I do think it's kind of smart for them to be like, oh yeah, we're introducing King the Conqueror, and then be like, yeah, but this is the good side, and this is why our timeline's this way.
Yeah.
And then be like, he's coming back, and not in the way you think.
Not the good way.
No.
Yeah,
his character.
And it leads up to many things, and like they'll be dealing with multiple variants of him, and like there may be good, nice ones that may join and try to help the Avengers, and there may be some that obviously
we had talked about too,
fighting against.
Was like, it's interesting that the TVA had Morbius and that Agent 15.
Yeah, in all the timelines,
most of the timelines.
It's like so it's like in every alternate universe, the TVA still chose the same people to hire or to capture.
And my explanation is this. So you know how they were sharing information amongst the when they first started collaging timelines and stuff,
kind of,
and sharing information for the better of good.
Yeah.
I bet all of them, because it was his idea, the original.
He created the TVA once he.
Yes. No, he created the TVA with that, and so then splits the timeline because of war and stuff. I don't know if
I thought he did it after. No, it's whenever he finally. He beat all the others.
Right.
Condensed it down to one timeline, and then created the TVA. Because
that's the only thing I can think of.
TVA was created to maintain his timeline.
Right.
But the thing is, I guess in those alternate timelines they did the same thing, but maybe for a more. It's because the thing is, they still want to control and conquer. Mm-hmm. Whether that's for good or evil is up to them.
Right.
Right. So it probably would have happened in any of the timelines.
Right. It could.
They still would have assumed, let's create the TVA. Mm-hmm. Whether that's for good reasons or bad reasons is up to them. Yeah. It's just interesting, though, that, of course, they still picked the same people.
Well, I mean, I'm sure variants think very much alike, because they're basically the same person.
Well,
but different.
Obviously, very, very different. That's the thing, though.
Well, different objectives and different personalities and egos, but like, I think their favoritism would probably be very similar among some certain timelines.
I assume it's probably just on an intellectual base on who they chose,
probably,
or picked, or maybe just people who are insignificant in the timeline in general.
Well, I mean, if they were like, we need people to work for us, but we can't choose like who works for us, we'll create variants. Okay, who's a variant in their timeline as well? These characters, and so I mean,
I guess
it's
just a weird thing we were talking about.
It's interesting too because if you think about it, variants within one timeline, there's thousands, right? Imagine multiple timelines with different variants, and then only certain ones were hired to the TVA. So technically, we're seeing another variant from another timeline when it saw Mobius and the 15 agent, and so
interesting. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it. But it was an okay show.
The visuals were really good.
The graphics were good, but I think some of it was a little jarring. Like especially that one episode that was all the filler episode. Like 90% of that or more was like
probably
green screen. You could kind of tell. Yeah. But I mean, it was pretty good for a show, especially. But Marvel and Disney have just the biggest budget in the world, so of course it's gonna look good.
And I think the saddest part too is like, what do we watch now? The realization of being like, we got Bad Batch, but it's like
we got Bad Batch and we got some weird movies that will come out.
Oh yeah, we got some weird movies.
But thank you guys for sticking around and watching everything. Please again like and comment to this video. Comment what you want us to talk about next, any new movies or old movies that you want us to talk about, and we will get to it eventually. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time
on Ronincast.